Police are the backbone of the GTA open world chaos formula, and it's no secret that the LSPD is famously corrupt, from Officer Tenpenny in San Andreas to the crooked FIB agents in GTA 5.
Yes, but we're corrupt in a good way.
But what about Cyberpunk 2077? I mean, we know Night City is where dreams come to die, but is the NCPD any different? To understand the horror and corruption of the NCPD, we have to look at the incentives. We know the LSPD is corrupt due to human greed and error, but the NCPD is corrupt by design. The difference isn't in just their response times or anything, it's their fundamental purpose. The LSPD's mission, however flawed, is ostensibly public order. Outside the few officers and agents we come across and have the misfortune of being blackmailed by, the LSPD for the most part doesn't show any deeper signs of systemic decay like the NCPD. The NCPD's mission is corporate order, and that's the key difference between the two. In Night City, the police aren't a public service or a branch of local government, they're a private subscription, a private entity owned by megacorps like Arasaka, Militech, and Nightcore. One data entry perfectly encapsulates this, stating that the NCPD often has to hire mercenaries on the slide just to obtain evidence in corporate jurisdictions. I mean, the fact that corporate jurisdictions even exists proves the police have no real power in Night City. They are completely underfunded, stretched way too thin, and only have 3 official precincts for the entire city. This funding model means that they only protect high-tax areas like city center with overwhelming force while leaving the poor to fend for themselves. Meanwhile, in Los Santos, the police may be crooked, but at least they have resources to maintain stations across the entire state. I mean, there's police stations all over Los Santos, Blaine County, they're everywhere. But today I want to look at Night City specifically and look into how and why the NCPD is so corrupt, but also how it stacks up compared to the LSPD. Today I wanted to truly test just how corrupt the NCPD is and to see if there really is a tier system that ranks how they respond. So I went to 3 distinct districts and observed the police presence in the area and how long it takes for them to arrive and to what degree. I split the tiers for the NCPD into 3 categories. High tier, which is like the rich areas like city center. Mid tier, that's your apartment mega buildings and industrial zones. And low tier, the homeless, gangs, and very, very poor. We start off in the high tier, city center or corporate center. This is where the money is. The roads are clean, the lights are colorful and bright, and the buildings span as high as you can see. Here is where the majority of the police presence is. Here we can see police damn near on every single block and corner. They also seem to be doing some kind of actual police work, or at the very least just loitering to protect company assets. Either way, they're doing something. The rules for the tests are: wait for there to be as little police in the area or at least a heavily populated area and then open fire. Then time how long it takes the police to come to my location. And yes, part of the test I can try to escape, but only on foot, not in a vehicle. It is an immersive sim after all. But with that, let's begin at corporate center. As soon as I shot my gun, the NCPD were literally on the case. After killing a decent amount of people, like 5 people, I got 3 stars almost instantly, and because they're everywhere, they sent everyone. In the end, the police got to me in about 19 seconds. Not bad, but also not surprising either. Here, the system works exactly as paid for. Next, we travel to Westbrook. The police presence actually drops here, but for one cynical reason. The high-end homes there rely on private company security. However, the NCPD makes sure to guard the entrance to the district with heavy hardware. I even spotted a mech robot standing guard at the gate. Nonetheless, we test here anyway. Here, I was actually able to go kind of ballistic and blow up multiple cars, and all they sent was a couple beat cops on bikes. And it took a total of 27 seconds to arrive at my location, which on paper isn't all that bad, but in the grand scheme of their operations, it's a little on the slower side. Also, I was able to take out a number of officers and not only lose my wanted level just from crouching on a cliff, but I didn't even get to 4 stars from how many officers I took out. Next, I moved to the mid tier. This is where things start to match up with the lore a little bit. That being said, we go to Haywood. Really, it's an extension of corporate center, but it has a mix of corporate buildings and apartment complexes for relatively medium income people. Here, there's a decent amount of police presence, but they aren't actually investigating anything, they're just there. But starting the test, I started to notice that the threshold or police tolerance started to drop. Here you could literally fight gangs and kill people next to officers, and they'll even help you out. After killing a few civilians, the police arrive at my location in about 30 seconds, which isn't terrible for a working class area. But Santo Domingo is where all falls apart. This is the industrial heart of the city, yet there are barely any cops roaming on patrol. I mean, literally just look at how the NCPD handles calls in San Domingo. I caused an insane amount of destruction, and as a result, It took the police a total of 1 minute and 30 seconds to get to my location. That is absolutely insane in the context of police operations. That is nearly 5 times slower than city center. I had to kill nearly like 25 NPCs just to get their attention, and when they finally arrived, the sheer distance made it even hard for them to literally even find me. It was obvious they had to drive from a completely different district, but the message is clear. If you're a worker in Santo Domingo, help is not coming for you. Finally, we are at the low tier, Pacifica. This is the ultimate proof of the NCPD's corruption. It is home to the homeless, outcasts, and gangs of the well, gangs are everywhere in Night City, but most of them are here. My notes for this area sum it up completely: 0 officers on patrol. There's a lore reason for this, but I'll go into that later. For now, we incite some violence. First, I started off in Coast View and opened fire at some gang members and only got 1 star. And because of the length of time it takes to get to Pacifica, I had already lost my wanted level by the time they got to me. Now, there's not supposed to be police jurisdiction in this area at all, and the game does it by making the police not patrol the area and take a long time to get to your location when you're in Pacifica, which checks out lore-wise. Trying the homeless camp only got me a single star and massive delay once again. When 1 squad car finally arrived, they left after only a few seconds. The AI literally forgot about me because the threat wasn't high enough to sustain the resource cost. The total endeavor took me 3 minutes. In fact, the only way to even get real police presence there is to exploit the AI. It was easier to bait a few officers I found into fighting local gangs than it was to have them come and get me. As a result, I ended up inciting an all-out gang war with the NCPD. Here, I was able to get up to 5 stars no problem, because the sheer amount of gangs and lawlessness in Pacifica made it easy. This aligns perfectly of the lore in the world. By 2077, the NCPD had completely stopped patrolling North Watson, Pacifica, and the Badlands entirely. They've outsourced suburbia protection to gangs like 6th Street or hired mercenaries to handle corporate jurisdictions. Ultimately, in the slums of Cyberpunk, the police aren't failing to protect you, you just don't make enough. Getting 5 stars in GTA has always been the best part to use all the money that you've gotten throughout the story and go all out with the military and SWAT teams being called. If MaxTac is for cyber psychos in Cyberpunk, then in GTA the SWAT team called NOOSE comes in to handle regular psychos. In Cyberpunk, the 5-star experience is no different than any other game with a wanted level system, but those games don't have MaxTac, a specialized subgroup of the NCPD. MaxTac specializes in dealing with dangerous cyber psychos. When MaxTac is called, the game turns from Cyberpunk RPG to Cyberpunk survival horror. It's honestly really cool and eerie at the same time, and it really feels the best when you get MaxTac to come at night. The deep purples and blues with the dark night and black contrasting makes for a really cool and cinematic endeavor. In GTA, the police escalation is a war of attrition. They throw bodies at you, cop car after cop car, helicopter after helicopter. They try to overwhelm you with the sheer volume of officers and troops. It's fundamentally just more police thrown at you. Here, MaxTac is different. They don't just drive up to you, they descend from the sky in AV dropshits like gods of war. These officers don't try to overwhelm you or swarm you. They hunt you. Lore-wise, MaxTac officers are often rehabilitated cyber psychos themselves. They are monsters on a corporate leash, if you will. And this reveals the final difference in corruption. The LSPD, for all its faults, will still try to arrest you if you give up, mechanically speaking, of course. They are restoring public order. MaxTac has no handcuffs. They are a spectacle of corporate power designed to remind everyone and you, and there is a limit to how much you can disrupt corporate order. So, was the NCPD really just bad AI, or was it something deeper? To answer the question I asked at the start, yes, the police in Night City are objectively worse than the cops in GTA. But not for the reasons you might think. It isn't just because they're tougher or have better aim or anything like that. It's because in Los Santos, the corruption feels like a bug. But in Night City, it's definitely a feature. The system works exactly as designed. It protects the rich in seconds, but leaves the poor in Pacifico to rot. The LSPD is basically a satire of modern policing. They're aggressive, incompetent, and messy and everything, but at the end of the day, they're still a failed public service trying to do a job. The NCPD, however, is something way darker than that. They aren't failing, that's the scary part. They're doing exactly what they're paid to do. When they ignore murder in the slums to protect a bank in Corpo Plaza, they're doing exactly what they're paid to do. They're a private company protecting their shareholders, and honestly, that's a level of dystopian realism that hits way harder than just getting a wasted screen, to be honest. GTA shows us a broken system that we can still laugh at. Cyberpunk 2077 shows us a working system that we should probably be terrified of if it actually comes to fruition. But I mean, what do you guys think? Do you think the broken police adds to the immersion? Let me know what you think in the comments below, and if you made it this far, I really appreciate you guys sticking around. This was a bit of a different deep dive for the channel, so if you enjoyed it, consider leaving a like and subscribing. It really helps the channel massively. But I'll catch you in the next one.